I'm David Grafa, and you're at the Cutting Room Studios in New York City. We have Studio A, which houses our SSL Duality. We have Studio B, which is our mastering suite and post-production facility. We have 2 producer rooms. We've had a lot of artists come through here, and it's been a very diverse range of clientele, from Shrek to the Chili Peppers. We do many different projects, from live broadcasts to just full mixing, to tracking, to designing people's websites.
The new Duality has a lot of the same features as the 9K. The biggest difference is the DAW control, and running Pro Tools now is so much easier having those features integrated with the analog side of the board. So when working in sessions, you can ride faders now on the console, and you can write automation in Pro Tools, or you can do it on the analog side of the board, and that has been so much easier and making our mixes go so much smoother and just helping all-around workflow. The learning curve was very simple. If you look at the Duality, you say, oh, that's the SSL that I know and I've used. Everything is as you'd expect for the most part. The main difference is just incorporating the DAW controls into what you already know about the console. The Duality has digital and analog modes engaged all the time. The only difference is switching the faders is just a simple switch of the button, and then you're controlling what you have in Pro Tools right there. And you can switch back and forth as you need to with your mix, not affecting any levels. You can see if I pull these down, I switch back, my faders are back on the analog side where they were, and then likewise if I go back to digital, it's still there. For recording, I almost always find myself using the traditional SSL analog side. That's what I love to use, and that's what I've been trained to use. And then when editing, that's all digital these days, so I end up switching to the digital side. And you can use the Duality to balance your levels and use your mouse control to do whatever editing you need to do in Pro Tools. And then mixing, switching back to analog, spreading it out as much as I can if I'm not already, and then using just whatever the Duality has to offer in terms of automation and EQ compression and those sorts of things. When I'm tracking a band with the Duality, I like to use the split function for recording generally, and that lets you both send to Pro Tools and have it return inline in the same channel, and then do your EQ and processing. So that way I'm not committing any major compression or EQ to tape, and I have full control later. When tracking a band, I find myself in the analog mode most of the time. And then editing, I'll switch over to the digital side. I'll do what I need to do in Pro Tools, any kind of your general fades or cutting out extra noise, like all editing in digital, and then mixing right back to the analog side. So in addition to fader controls, you have full transport controls. You even have a mouse. You have your number pad for going to different marker locations. This center section controls the digital aspects of the Duality. So when integrating with Pro Tools, this is where you'll find yourself working for a lot of it. Setting up the dynamics processing and EQ on the board is very similar to before. The main difference is where it shows you that it's been engaged. So for example, EQ, you're right in the middle of the EQ, and then it shows you right at the top there, your EQ is in. Turn on filter, your filter light comes on right up top on these LCD screens. Makes it very clear, very obvious what you have in and what you don't have in. For dynamics as well, same thing. Put the dynamics in, shows it up right there at the top. All color coded, very, very easy to see. What I really like about this board is that no matter what your client demands, you have the ability to do. If they just want to work in Pro Tools, you have your full controls right here, right in front of you. If they want to work in the analog realm, that's what SSL was founded on. So you've got the best of both worlds, and SSL's combined it in a way that makes it very easy to use, and they really make it sound great. The coolest thing, and maybe this is kind of nerdy, but the coolest thing I found is just the way they streamlined everything. Just the workflow is the coolest thing. The way they obviously thought about, how are people using the console these days, and they thought about that, and they thought about the best ways to make it happen, and that's what they did with the Duality.
Setting up the Duality is really simple. It's all self-contained, so it was just a plug and play. We had all the cables laid out, we had the patch bay laid out, and it was just a matter of fitting it in the room and running the cables nice and neat, and the console just made it really easy for us. When we took the old 9J out of here, it took about a week to decommission the console, get it all taken apart, and probably about the same to commission it when we first had it set up. But setting up this console, it got delivered, pieced together, and we had it wired and up and running in a matter of hours. Right here is the center section, which has all the I/O for the center of the console, the track buses, all the main mix ins and outs, all the fold back, and the talk back facilities. And to my left is all the I/O for all the channels is grouped in banks of 8. With 5 DB25 connectors for each, with all the insert points, channel output, key ins, and monitors, monitor inputs, and the channel inputs are all on XLRs, also in groups of 8. And on the other end, on the patch bay side, there's no soldering involved. All of these go straight through to the patch bay, terminating DB25s on the back. All the grounding and normaling is controlled through dip switches on the back of the bays, so there's no soldering involved. You just set it and put it in the rack. You're good to go.
And this console's made for this era. It's made to be as flexible as possible for as many different projects as you can throw at it. I truly feel that this console fits the change perfectly because it allows us to be exactly what we were before, but more and less. And by less, I mean we became more efficient. It was an easy decision when you look and see what's out there. And I think, SSL is probably one of the only companies that is actually keeping like the commercial facilities still in their minds, as opposed to, going after like smaller producer spaces or production rooms or in the box, and that's why it worked out really well for us, and that's why I'm very happy with this purchase, because it was exactly what we needed.